Welcome to Bedtime True Crime, the YouTube channel that takes you on a haunting exploration of the world of true crime, serial killers, and unsolved mysteries. Join us as we journey into the shadows, unearthing spine-tingling tales that will keep you awake at night. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss another thrilling episode. Now get comfortable, turn off the lights, and prepare to be captivated by the sinister side of human nature as we delve into today's bone-chilling story. In the early 1990s, a sinister shadow loomed over London's vibrant gay community as it found itself terrorized by a series of gruesome murders. The predator behind these heinous acts meticulously selected his victims from bars and clubs, skillfully manipulating their trust before revealing his true intentions. Our chilling tale unfolds with an introduction to this enigmatic figure, Colin Ireland, later infamously dubbed the Gay Slayer. Born on March 16, 1954 in Dartford, Kent, England, Colin Ireland was no stranger to hardship. Abandoned by his mother at a mere 6 months old and raised by an alcoholic father alongside numerous foster families, Ireland's life was marred by feelings of abandonment and resentment. As we delve into the dark corners of London during this frightening era, you'll witness how one man's twisted desires led to the brutal demise of 5 unsuspecting individuals. What could have possibly driven someone like Colin Ireland to commit such unspeakable acts? And what cunning tactics allowed him to evade capture for so long? In our story today, not only will we expose the grisly details surrounding each murder, but also venture deep into the mind of the murderer himself. Brace yourselves as we ultimately unveil some shocking revelations about Colin Ireland that remain largely unknown. So join us now as we embark on a spine-chilling journey through shadows and secrets while unearthing the horrifying truth concealed within the heart of the Gay Slayer. On March 8, 1993, a chilling scene unfolded in London's Earl's Court. The unsuspecting Peter Walker, a talented 45-year-old choreographer and theater director, found himself drawn into the dark web of Colin Ireland at the Collier pub, a popular gathering spot for gay men during that time. As they shared drinks and conversation, Ireland expertly manipulated Walker with his seemingly genuine demeanor and understanding nature. Little did Walker know that behind this facade lurked a cold-blooded killer harboring sinister intentions. As their evening together progressed, Ireland persuaded Walker to invite him back to his Battersea flat. Upon crossing the threshold of the apartment, any sense of camaraderie vanished as terror took hold. In an instant, Ireland overpowered Walker before binding and gagging him tightly. He then subjected his helpless victim to unspeakable acts of violence and torture, each more horrific than the last. Finally, when no ounce of humanity remained within him, he placed a plastic bag over Walker's head and tightened it around his neck until he suffocated to death. The crime scene told its own grisly tale, blood spattered across walls and floor, signs of struggle evident throughout the room, furniture overturned in desperate attempts at escape. But most chilling was the macabre display left by the Gay Slayer, 2 teddy bears positioned atop one another in a grotesque imitation of sexual intercourse beside Walker's lifeless body. This twisted calling card would come to haunt authorities as they struggled to comprehend its significance while grappling with mounting questions surrounding this brutal murder. What could have possibly driven Colin Ireland to commit such atrocities? How had he managed to leave no trace behind at the scene? And what other horrifying secrets lay hidden beneath his calm exterior? In our next segment, we will delve deeper into these mysteries as we explore another spine-chilling murder committed by this ruthless predator. 3 months after Peter Walker's gruesome demise, Colin Ireland resumed his murderous spree. On June 4, 1993, fate brought him to Christopher Dunn, a 37-year-old librarian with an affinity for sadomasochism. Their paths crossed at the infamous Collier pub, where Ireland had first met Walker. Expertly concealing his sinister intentions beneath a friendly facade, Ireland wormed his way into Dunn's trust. As the night wore on, they agreed to return to Dunn's Wealdstone flat for what seemed like consensual bondage play. Little did Dunn know that this fateful decision would be his last. Upon entering the apartment, Ireland wasted no time in revealing his true nature. Swiftly overpowering Dunn and securing him tightly to the bed, he commenced a horrifying ordeal of torture upon his helpless victim. The air filled with anguished cries as Ireland mercilessly burned him repeatedly with cigarettes, before finally using a ligature fashioned from a belt to strangle him. In the aftermath of this brutal act, the crime scene told its own macabre story. Signs of struggle etched across every surface, remnants of extreme violence scattered throughout, and chillingly, two teddy bears positioned atop each other in a grotesque mockery of intimacy beside Dunn's lifeless body. Despite these eerie similarities between both murders, investigators initially struggled to connect them due to differing locations within London and insufficient forensic evidence linking one killer to both crimes. As we delve deeper into Colin Ireland's reign of terror over London's gay community during those harrowing months in 1993, prepare yourself for unnerving revelations about how he not only managed to evade capture, but also escalated his brutality with each subsequent killing. 10 days after the chilling murder of Christopher Dunn, Colin Ireland struck again. On June 14, 1993, he encountered Perry Bradley III at the now infamous Collier pub, a location that had become his hunting ground for unsuspecting victims. Bradley was a 35-year-old businessman and son of a Texas congressman, leading an accomplished life far from his father's political shadow. As they engaged in conversation over drinks, Ireland expertly masked his true intentions with warmth and charm. Unbeknownst to Bradley, this seemingly friendly encounter would soon turn into a nightmare as he agreed to invite Ireland back to his Kensington flat. Upon entering the apartment, any semblance of camaraderie vanished as Ireland swiftly revealed his sinister motives. He quickly overpowered Bradley, binding him tightly with rope before subjecting him to hours of agonizing torture, each act more brutal than the last. In stark contrast to the bustling London streets outside, cries for help echoed within the confines of the apartment walls, but went unanswered. As time ticked away mercilessly, Ireland tightened another makeshift ligature around Bradley's neck until he took his final breath. When investigators arrived on scene later that day, they were confronted by yet another horrifying tableau left behind by the gay slayer. However, instead of teddy bears positioned near the body like previous crime scenes, there lay a doll perched atop Bradley's lifeless form, almost mocking its own innocence amidst such cruelty. Though slightly deviating from earlier patterns, authorities could not ignore glaring similarities between these murders. Gay men targeted within their community, unspeakable acts involving bondage and strangulation, and eerie displays featuring toys or objects placed close to victims' bodies. As word spread throughout London's terrified gay community about this relentless predator who seemed unstoppable in his quest for bloodshed, leaving no trace behind while escalating both frequency and brutality with every attack, fear gripped them tighter than ever before. In our next segment, we will delve into the frantic efforts of law enforcement as they scrambled to piece together evidence in hopes of apprehending this elusive killer before more lives were tragically lost. The rapid succession of the fourth and fifth murders intensified the fear gripping London's gay community. On June 28, 1993, a mere 2 weeks after Perry Bradley III met his tragic end, Colin Ireland targeted Andrew Collier, a dedicated 33-year-old housing warden. Ireland employed his deceptive tactics once more to gain Collier's trust at the Collier pub before accompanying him back to his Dalston flat. As they entered the apartment, any semblance of friendship vanished as terror took hold. With methodical precision, Ireland bound and gagged Collier before subjecting him to torture even more gruesome than that inflicted upon previous victims. Each passing hour brought new horrors for Collier, until he was ultimately strangled with a ligature fashioned from a scarf. In this instance, however, the gay slayer left behind an even more chilling scene, positioning Collier's beloved pet cat on top of his lifeless body as yet another twisted calling card. This macabre tableau hinted at just how far Ireland would go in his quest for notoriety and control over those he preyed upon. A mere 3 days later, on July 1, 1993, the gay slayer claimed what would become known as his final victim, Emanuel Spiteri, a Maltese chef residing in Catford. Like those who had fallen into Ireland's web before him, Spiteri found himself charmed by the seemingly friendly stranger at their shared haunt, the Collier pub. Unaware of the danger lurking beneath that affable exterior, Spiteri invited Ireland back to his home where fate awaited. Once inside Spiteri's apartment, any pretense of camaraderie crumbled away, as Ireland subjected him to similar acts of violence and degradation endured by past victims. However, unlike prior crime scenes marked by toys or animals positioned near lifeless bodies, this time there were no such eerie displays. Instead, Ireland set fire to Spiteri's apartment in an apparent attempt to destroy any evidence linking him to the crime, a chilling indication of his growing confidence and desire to evade capture. As these horrifying scenes unfolded, and pressure from both the public and media mounted for answers regarding the brutal killings terrorizing London's gay community during that fateful summer in 1993, investigators found themselves grappling with seemingly insurmountable odds as they sought desperately for clues leading them to the elusive killer. Stay tuned as we delve into how authorities finally began unraveling the mystery surrounding the gay slayer, piecing together crucial evidence that would ultimately lead them on a collision course with Colin Ireland. As the investigation into the brutal murders committed by the gay slayer persisted, authorities grappled with numerous challenges. Hindered by a scarcity of forensic evidence and no clear suspect in sight, they found themselves at an impasse. Yet determination eventually paid off as patterns began to emerge from the crime scenes. All victims were gay men frequenting the Collier pub. Each murder entailed bondage, torture, and strangulation, and bizarre displays involving toys or animals positioned near bodies appeared to be a recurring theme. A breakthrough came when investigators discovered that Colin Ireland had taunted various newspapers after some of his killings, revealing details only the killer could have known. This vital clue led police to concentrate their efforts on tracing these phone calls back to their source. Simultaneously, advancements in forensics technology enabled experts to extract DNA samples from several crime scenes. Although this field was still emerging at the time, it provided invaluable leads for narrowing down their search for the elusive murderer. As more pieces of the puzzle fell into place, authorities honed in on Colin Ireland as their prime suspect. His background unveiled a history marred by violence and criminal activity, including robbery and assault charges, further fueling suspicions surrounding his involvement in these heinous crimes. Amid mounting evidence against him, and pressure from both law enforcement agencies, and London's terrified gay community, demanding justice for those lost during that horrifying summer in 1993, it seemed inevitable that the gay slayer's reign of terror would soon come crashing down around him. The clock ticked relentlessly as detectives pieced together every fragment of information available. Witness accounts describing encounters with suspicious characters near the Collier pub, CCTV footage capturing shadowy figures lurking nearby potential victims, even anonymous tips pointing toward possible suspects who fit Ireland's profile, but ultimately proved fruitless. Each new lead brought them closer to unmasking this ruthless predator, whose calculated actions left little trace behind, while instilling fear deep within the hearts of London's gay community. But even as they inched closer to apprehending their target, questions lingered. What drove Colin Ireland to commit such atrocities, and how had he managed to evade capture for so long? As we delve further into this chilling tale, prepare yourself for unnerving revelations about the gay slayer's cunning tactics and the relentless pursuit that would ultimately bring his reign of terror to a sudden halt. As we pay tribute to the victims of the gay slayer, it's crucial to honor their lives and recognize the profound impact these unspeakable events had on their families, friends, and London's gay community. Peter Walker was a gifted choreographer and theater director whose artistic talents brought joy to countless people. His tragic death left an indelible mark on those who knew him personally or admired his creative contributions. Amongst his many achievements, he directed several acclaimed plays that showcased his unique vision for storytelling, forever immortalized through his work in the arts. Christopher Dunn was more than just a librarian with a passion for knowledge. He possessed an innate kindness that touched everyone around him. Colleagues recount how his warm smile could light up any room, while loved ones fondly recall his unwavering willingness to lend a helping hand whenever needed. Perry Bradley III emerged from the shadow of his prominent political family in Texas to forge his own path as a successful businessman. With an uncanny ability to form lasting connections, Perry is remembered by those close to him for both his engaging personality and steadfast loyalty towards friends and colleagues alike. Andrew Collier dedicated himself wholeheartedly to assisting others as a housing warden, providing vital support and aid to some of society's most vulnerable individuals. Friends paint a picture of Andrew as not only compassionate, but fiercely committed to making a tangible difference in the world around him. Emanuel Spiteri poured every ounce of dedication into his career as a chef, sharing delectable culinary creations with all fortunate enough to experience them firsthand. Those closest to Emanuel reminisce about the sound of his infectious laughter, echoing throughout kitchens while expressing admiration for his generous spirit that extended far beyond food preparation. These 5 men were so much more than mere victims. They were sons, brothers, friends, each leaving behind grief-stricken communities, still grappling with their loss decades later. As we continue our exploration into this harrowing tale of murder and deception perpetrated by Colin Ireland, let us always remember the human cost that lies at its very core. And as we delve further into this chilling story, be prepared for unsettling revelations about how these men's lives were tragically cut short. Colin Ireland, the twisted mind behind the gay slayer persona, was a deeply disturbed and enigmatic individual. His childhood was tainted by abandonment, abuse, and chaos, factors that undoubtedly played a role in his eventual spiral into violence and murder. The reasons for Ireland's decision to target gay men remain somewhat ambiguous. However, it is speculated that he held a deep-rooted resentment towards society as a whole due to his turbulent upbringing. This bitterness may have manifested itself in his choice of victims, individuals whom he perceived as vulnerable or marginalized within their community. Before embarking on his gruesome killing spree, Ireland had an extensive criminal history, including robbery and assault charges. These early warning signs suggest that he harbored violent tendencies long before committing these brutal murders. Psychologists who later analyzed Colin Ireland's actions believe that he exhibited traits consistent with psychopathy, lack of empathy, manipulative behavior, superficial charm, and extreme egotism. It has been suggested that his decision to taunt authorities by contacting newspapers after some of the killings indicates a craving for notoriety, further evidence of his narcissistic nature. In addition to this chilling insight into the gay slayer's psyche, there were also whispers about other disturbing aspects of his life, rumors which we will reveal later in our story. For now, let us delve deeper into how law enforcement finally managed to apprehend this ruthless predator. As the manhunt intensified, and investigators pieced together evidence from various crime scenes along with tracing phone calls made by Ireland himself, they began closing in on him, inching closer toward unraveling the mystery surrounding the gay slayer. With each passing day, new revelations emerged about this elusive killer whose cunning tactics allowed him to evade capture while leaving London's gay community paralyzed with fear during those harrowing months in 1993. Stay tuned as we unveil more shocking details about Colin Ireland's dark past and the relentless pursuit that would ultimately bring an end to his reign of terror. The intensity of the manhunt for Colin Ireland reached a fever pitch as investigators meticulously pieced together evidence from the grisly crime scenes and painstakingly traced phone calls he had made to newspapers. With each new clue, authorities drew closer to their elusive suspect. On August 19, 1993, after an extensive surveillance operation that spanned across London's streets and alleys, police finally cornered Colin Ireland at his nondescript home in Southend-on-Sea. Confronted with overwhelming evidence against him, including damning DNA samples linking him to several crime scenes, Ireland crumbled under pressure during interrogation and confessed to all 5 murders. The capture of this cold-blooded killer brought not only relief, but also a sense of justice to London's gay community and law enforcement agencies who had been working around the clock to bring the gay slayer's reign of terror to an end. As the trial proceedings unfolded before a captivated audience, key pieces of chilling evidence painted a vivid portrait of the gay slayer's calculated modus operandi: intricately planned attacks, merciless torture and murder, grotesque displays involving toys or animals placed near victims' bodies, and taunting phone calls made after some killings, showcasing his twisted desire for recognition. In December 1993, amidst palpable tension within the courtroom walls, Colin Ireland was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life imprisonment without any possibility of parole. His conviction marked the conclusion of one of Britain's most horrifying killing sprees, offering solace to families still grappling with grief, while serving as a sobering reminder of the darkness lurking beneath seemingly ordinary facades. With every harrowing detail revealed during those unforgettable months in 1993, we are left pondering what drove Colin Ireland down such a dark path. How did he manage to evade capture for so long despite leaving macabre calling cards at each scene? And how can society prevent similar tragedies from unfolding in the future? As we delve further into this chilling tale, prepare yourself for unnerving revelations about the gay slayer's cunning tactics and the relentless pursuit that would ultimately bring his reign of terror to a sudden halt. As we conclude this spine-chilling journey into the mind and actions of Colin Ireland, the gay slayer, let us reflect on the lessons learned from such a harrowing tale. This story serves as an ominous reminder that malevolence can hide in plain sight, masked by alluring smiles and seemingly innocuous encounters. The unwavering determination of law enforcement agencies during their pursuit for justice should not be overlooked. Their relentless efforts ultimately led to the apprehension and conviction of one of Britain's most infamous serial killers. Moreover, it is essential to acknowledge the resilience displayed by London's gay community throughout those terrifying months in 1993. Despite living under constant fear, they united to support each other through unimaginable grief and loss, refusing to allow darkness to overshadow their spirit. As we pay tribute to Peter Walker, Christopher Dunn, Perry Bradley III, Andrew Collier, and Emanuel Spiteri, 5 lives tragically cut short at the hands of a merciless predator, may their stories serve as a somber reminder that vigilance is crucial when confronting evil lurking within our midst. In these final moments together tonight, ponder upon what drove Colin Ireland down his dark path. How did he manage to evade capture for so long despite leaving macabre calling cards at each scene? And how can society prevent similar tragedies from unfolding in the future? With every haunting detail revealed during those unforgettable months in 1993, remember always that truth can often be stranger than fiction.